I find that a lot of times there's people that always call themselves, well, I'm a perfectionist. And sometimes they use it almost as a crutch, as saying, like, well, I didn't do well at this job, or I didn't do a good job, or this, that, the other, because I'm a perfectionist and it wasn't exactly the way I wanted it to be, or it wasn't just as absolutely perfect as it needed to be. And and I think that's a bunch of BS. And I'm not a perfectionist at all. I'm a big picture kind of guy, and I like to
Right.
keep things simple and kind of use this term minimal effective dose. Let's use what it takes to get it done, and then move on. And I think people that really get hung up with the idea of like perfection and attaining perfection it's a pipe dream into something that's never going to
Right.
happen.
Right.
Um, I was listening to a podcast not too long ago where a a NASA engineer is being interviewed, and he kind of talked about this, and he said, when we're putting together these projects, we're trying to get people to Mars. Let's say I'm working on a thermometer that has to measure the temperature of the atmosphere of Mars. We have guidelines, and the guidelines are it needs to be accurate, but it needs to be accurate within 1 degree either way. And so he says, okay, if I'm going to go out and I'm going to make this thermometer, and we make it, we're testing it, and it's consistently getting in at zero point 0.7 degrees on either side. It's not 100% accurate, but it's within the guidelines. It's good enough. Let's move on. We don't need to correct for this little bit of wiggle room that's okay. And that if you're chasing that absolute perfection, you're going you're going to waste resources and you're going to waste time on something that at the end of the day is not going to make a difference. And I think a guy that we've kind of talked about a lot recently is John Wooden, the famous college basketball coach from UCLA. He's he spoke at length about that and how being perfect is what you need to strive for, but being perfect is something that is no one is ever going to attain. And once you can buy into that mindset, I think life's going to get a lot easier because you're not going to be stressed about, oh man, it wasn't perfect when
Someone else
nothing
is better
is.
than me.
Right. You just need to be the best you, and you need to work towards it, but be okay with not achieving it.
You know, Will Smith has a great quote about that. He was talking about building a wall, and I've been talking a lot and listening a lot more about to Will Smith, and he goes, when you go out and build a wall, you don't just say, "I'm going to put up a wall." You go, "I'm going to lay each brick of this wall perfectly, one brick at a time. Just lay a perfect brick." And it's a lot easier to perfectly lay a brick than it is to go and build a perfect wall. And I think it takes, to attain perfection, which you're correct. It's not going to happen, but going after it and saying I'm just going to focus on doing the small things today the best I can do, or I'm going to just focus on doing anything I can do the best I can do, and good things are going to happen. And that's your perfect. Whether or not it's considered perfect or not, that's the best effort you can possibly give. So, um, now, Shava, did you have a quote to end this one out?
Yeah. So, from John Wooden, he says, perfection is what you're striving for, but perfection is an impossibility. However, striving for perfection is not. So, as always, think about it into the weekend. Let us know what you're thinking. You can tweet at us. And thanks a lot for listening.